Before we dig into this section of the video series, it would be prudent to stop and ask ourselves a very simple question. Where do Catalyst projects come from? On the surface, this answer is self-evident. They come from Catalyst. If they didn't, you wouldn't be here. Here's the thing. Catalyst projects don't come from Catalyst. They are assembled in Catalyst, and that's a distinction you've got to learn. Interactivity and rich media are added in Catalyst along with motion. In that context, building an application in Catalyst is a no-brainer. What is hard is planning the project, and this is where you need to spend the bulk of your time. Successful projects, regardless of what clients may think, don't magically arise out of the internal works of your computer. The success of a project is in direct proportion to the amount of time you spend thinking about the project, doodling and sketching, drawing and planning the project, such as the sitemap you see here, even before you light up a single pixel. When you do get around to creating the design, put aside cool and accolades and start thinking like a user. The user couldn't care less that there is a radical coding and imaging job involved in this application. They care about your work on an intuitive level. This project started out as a few sketches in a notebook. Once those sketches started taking shape, a simple wire frame like you see here, using the flex and placeholder components from the common library of Catalyst, were put into place, and we started looking at how does this thing work. This gave us an idea of how a user would get from here to there and back again. As well, these items gave us the flexibility to change our minds and generally try out ideas and progress to what you see here. This here, for example, is how we would treat the video page. So we've got the comp, we've got the video page, we kind of got that done. We throw in the assets, and let's see how it all worked out by looking at it in a browser. So I'm going to open Safari, and here's the project. If you mouse over one of the links, you notice the color changes. If we click on the hike text, notice that the little star slides across the top and sits over the hike words, so the user always knows where he or she is. If I click on the next button, paddle, notice the color changed as I rolled over the button and the star slid into position over the button. Also, there is some scrolling text in here and a button at the bottom which allows me to go watch a video. If we click the video button, an HD video appears, and the user can control the playback and choose to play the video, pause the video, or even go back to the previous page. In this example, there is nothing that is the designer or the developer doing something cool. All of the effects were carefully chosen, and there is nothing that is extraneous. The most important thing about this project and all of its features was how easy they were to add when they were assembled in Catalyst. The hard work is how the files are constructed in Illustrator, Photoshop, or Fireworks before being imported into Catalyst and made functional inside of Catalyst with little or no effort. To help you understand this last point, I'm going to switch over to the Illustrator source file. Now, this is located in your exercise folder, so feel free to open it up and follow along with me. Now, this project was carefully structured in Illustrator. You can see this in the Layers panel. Everything is named, and elements common to all of the layers are kept in the header layer. And I can't stress enough the importance of giving everything a name that makes sense and putting everything where it belongs regardless of which application you use. In the long run, your life will be easier when it comes to importing the art into Catalyst and bringing it to life. Another lesson to be learned is this one. Fall in love with the user. Do not fall in love with the technology. Let's go to the canoe layer to see what I'm talking about. So if I go to the canoe layer and turn it on, you can see that there is a lot going on in this page. I've decided to, for instance, include a scroll bar for the text because there was a lot of text. As well, there is a video associated with this section. It's important that the user see how to go see that video. If we click on the Canoe vid layer, which is where the video resides, you will see the first frame of the video. This is called a poster frame. Obviously, you can't put video in an Illustrator document, so this image is acting as a placeholder, and the layer name for this image makes it very clear that that's exactly what it is, vid placeholder. Under the video are two buttons that will allow the user to pause and play the video. Again, they are in appropriately named layers. The big difference here, though, is they are symbols right here. There they are, symbols. These buttons are composed of vectors and gradients, both of which require a chunk of bandwidth in the browser to render. By converting them to symbols, I get the advantage of being able to reuse content. I also get to take advantage of Catalyst's ability to use optimized graphics from the Illustrator library. What I want you to get from this is to approach Catalyst design with the same attention to detail as you would any other design task. Then, using the techniques I've talked about here, using symbols, naming layers, you will discover what a lot of people have discovered about Catalyst. This application is fun. Next up, we take a deep dive into the Illustrator Catalyst workflow. I'm going to show you a few more best practices and, most important of all, how to import an Illustrator file into Catalyst.